Hello, everyone. This is JPL, and today I'm joined with.
Matthew here.
Yes, and we're here for a nice, quick podcast. And today we're going to be talking about our top five favorite commercials, TV ads, or whatever ads.
Yeah, it's chilling for some companies here.
Yeah, it's just free advertisement. That the stupid thing that whenever we're on TV, we just don't like it when it's on. We're just going to return to our program. But anyway, every once in a while you get a good one, and when you get a good one, they're memorable and they last with you. So today we're going to talk about our favorite ones that just are memorable with us and we've always remembered. So yeah, why don't we just start with you?
Okay, so my number five commercial is actually a non-American commercial. It is called "Never Say No to Panda," and I believe it's an Egyptian company, but it's some kind of cheese or something. I'm not 100% familiar because I've never had it. But the basic structure of this commercial, and it's actually a series of commercials, but I will
Mm-hmm.
just be talking about the most iconic one. A kid and his dad are shopping in the grocery store, and the kid says, "Hey, here's some panda." And the dad says, "No, no, we aren't going to get that." And then in front of them, a guy in a panda costume appears and tips over their shopping cart and starts jumping all over their products. And it's just a series of commercials. It's the mix of the music and the ridiculousness of the scenario just make it so interesting and engaging, and it's why it went viral when it initially came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching it with my parents, and we thought it was the funniest thing we had ever seen at the time.
Yeah, it's just very much a weird one. Like this, what the panda, a very violent panda. If you don't like its product, it's gonna kill you. It's like that Sega guy. I don't know if you know that guy's Sega Sanshiro. I don't know. Do you know
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yeah, something like that. Except this one's interesting. It's a panda instead of a person.
yeah.
So yeah.
It's an effective mascot.
What do you think is just so memorable about this commercial or these commercials in general? What makes it so good?
I mean, part of it is just the phrase "never say no to panda." It's just along with the image of this panda doing violent things, it just sticks in your brain as like, oh yeah, that is. It's a very effective slogan.
Yeah, yeah, very, very fun stuff. Anyway, moving on to my number five. My number five is more than one commercials, but therefore the Super Bowl commercials. Um, it's this long time phrase where you only ever watch the Super Bowl just to watch the commercials. And that's the case with me. I don't actually watch it anymore because over the years the commercials aren't that great. I think the last time I actually enjoyed a Super Bowl commercial was in 2012, and most of them are just Dorito commercials. And so yeah, my number five are the Dorito commercials for the Super Bowl, spanning a couple years. We got one with his kid and his mama. Some guy comes in, tries to, hang out with his mama. And he tries to touch his kid's Doritos, and the kid just slaps him in the face. He's like, "Keep your hands out of my mama. Keep your hands out of my Doritos." Funny stuff. And the next one, you got like this guy who's taking care of someone's house, doesn't do the job, but on the last day, he just starts sprinkling Doritos everywhere and fixes the whole house, including someone's ashes, which turns them alive again. Oh my. And finally, we got a dog who buries a cat and gives the owner Doritos just so he could be quiet. Funny stuff. I love these commercials. Dorito commercials, man, they used to be the greatest. I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, I remember for a few years, even though I've never really watched the Super Bowl, hearing all about the Doritos commercials afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't more recently, but
Yeah, those were the times for Doritos commercials back when the comedy was just so right. I don't know what happened to them. I wish they could return. One day, we'll see. We have another good Doritos commercial.
yeah,
But anyway, let's go on to number four.
yeah. So my number four is a commercial for the Americans for the Arts called Brahms Breakfast. And this is a fun one. I would recommend pausing. It's 30 seconds, pausing and taking a look at it for yourself. But it's a family. It starts out as a normal cereal commercial, and they're just sitting down for breakfast. And suddenly, a piano comes crashing through the wall with famous composer Johannes Brahms on it. Goes Guten Tag,
and the kids reply, Johannes Brahms.
Yes, and then the joke is it's Raisin Brahms instead of Raisin Bran, and it's kooky and strange and weird, and
it's simple.
It's very effective, very funny. It's just a lot of fun, and it's 30 seconds long, so it has become a friend of mine, and I will often greet each other with the Guten Tag.
Yes. Just the name Johannes Brahms is just what? Like, who just says that? Yells it out casually when some strange guy in a beard on a piano just walks in, just crashes in like the Kool-Aid Man. Just Johannes Brahms. Like, who does that? It's so fun. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, it's definitely worth pausing this and watching that.
Yes. On to my number 4. This is a ad that came out in 2011, and it's a Subway commercial. Except this Subway's commercial is also advertising Uncharted 3. I wonder if any of you listeners out there, for me mentioning this, and there are gamers as well, just suddenly have these waves of memories that come back, because this was all over the place. You could not go anywhere without Uncharted 3 being advertised on Subway. Anywhere. Uncharted 3 was like the biggest thing that I just knew at the time. So you just have this scenario where Nathan Drake is just running around through different sections of the game, and he's holding on to a Subway sandwich and a drink, and he's just running around doing this advertisement. It's very short, but it's just, there's something appealing about the animators from the game are just doing this commercial, and it's strange and weird, but I don't know. It's probably one of the funniest ways to advertise a commercial for a food product like Subway. It's a gold mine for those old days. Yeah.
Yeah, commercial within a commercial.
Yes.
Product placement inside of product placement.
Yes. Oh dear. It was very jarring back then, but now I just look back at it fondly.
Yeah. Well, my number 3 is an iconic commercial from. Excuse me while I figure out what this is for. I should have done this work prior.
Canadian Wildlife Service.
Yeah, Canadian Wildlife. And this is Spiders on Drugs. It's kind of set up as this normal nature documentary, but then as it goes along, you kind of realize that this experiment of the spiders on drugs is an actual experiment, but just this funny commercial. It plays off of different stereotypes of different drugs in very funny ways. And yeah, it's an effective commercial.
Hey, it turns quickly. It's like, oh, that's interesting, and all of a sudden, just this new thing happened. It's like, wait, what? Like, what the heck is this? And that's Canadian commercials for you. They'll just do something so unexpected. It's hilarious. This one specifically is just so hilarious, and I love it.
Yeah, and I don't know if they trained the spiders or what they were doing, but whoever made this commercial is very talented.
I want to say some of the spiders are um, are on a stick. They're fake, and they're
Yeah.
just moving them along, especially when you got a spider driving a car
Yeah.
or holding a gun. That's definitely not a real spider.
Yep. Although they do have like the spider getting out of the car or different spider moving onto a hammock. But yeah,
Mm,
it's fun and
yeah.
definitely a very strange but very fun commercial.
Yes. So on to my number three. This commercial isn't exactly one that I would say I love because it's a good commercial, but because I don't know, I was surprised when I saw it, and I don't remember what the commercial is about. Of I know that you're looking at the list, but I don't really care what it is. It's for a phone commercial, like, hey, get this phone for Christmas. Um, and it features a good friend of ours, Flame Wolf. He is an actor in this commercial, and he had told me about this like months before the commercial came out, but I completely forgot about it. And so just one day I go to the movie theater. I don't know what movie it was. I can't remember, but all of a sudden I see this commercial play and I just see him on the screen and I just look at that and I think, is that what? Is that him? I turn over to my mom. It's like, is that him? I turn over to the other girls who are like sitting across from us, and they're like, I think that's him. And so it's just this funny thing. It's like I see this in a movie theater. That makes me feel proud of my friend. He's in a movie theater, a commercial in a movie theater. But yeah, that was just like a fun experience to just see that happening. So yeah, I love it just because just my friend's in it and he's wearing a fake nose.
Yeah, it's not the most interesting commercial on the list, but I think knowing someone in the commercial definitely makes it more special than some of the commercials on
It's
this
probably
list.
the most personal commercial on our list here because we have a personal connection to one of the people there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so my second commercial is um not really what you would normally think of as a commercial, even though this is um a video meant to inspire you to buy something. But this is Brian David Gilbert's short video "Buy My Bed." And it starts out very simple. Just Brian David Gilbert is in his apartment selling in his bed for you. Um, but then he starts to kind of like take on the mannerisms and accents of like an Italian like young gangster, and it spirals out from there. I like to say that, like a lot of Brian David Gilbert's videos, it becomes a parody and then becomes a parody of that parody, and then becomes a parody of the parody of the parody, and it just keeps spiraling more and more. And the comedic timing of it, there's several moments. The way his vocal inflections, and his sister is in it. She has a fun bit of how she likes to smoke cigars on beds. Um, just the most ridiculous stuff, and then it eventually just devolves into like a remix of the phrase "by my bed" as Brian David
Yeah.
Gilbert dances to it. Um, it's ridiculous and hilarious, and apparently it was successful at selling the bed.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't know what the ad was for, but, you know,
It's crazy and strange and wild.
wow, tough crowd. That was just poor joke. Anyway, so yeah, this isn't a traditional commercial because it's more for online, but it still does a good job at trying to sell a product. I don't know. When I saw it, I didn't actually think it was trying to sell the bed. It just seemed like he's just parroting some commercials or something. But yeah, it's. I guess it was legit.
Yep. Like all good um, art, it has an element of truth to it.
Yes. Going on to my number two. Uh, my number two, we're getting into commercials that were made in Paraguay. In Paraguay, there's this drink called Poop Cola, um, and it's basically like a knockoff Coke brand products, but they're good in their own way. And for this commercial specifically, for this Coca Cola commercial, they decided to do a parody of the Jonas Brothers called the Jason Brothers. Um, and it was probably one of the most popular commercials at the time. And I think it tricked so many people into believing that those were the actual Jonas Brothers doing this commercial. Because like the basic commercial is just Jonas Brothers being like, "Hey, we're famous. We got our cars. We got the girls. We got pretty faces. But you know what? Us Americans don't have Poop Cola." And so yeah, they're singing that song as well. They do a good job at trying to fake it. But yeah. Poop Cola. This is one commercial that I downloaded and still have with me. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the story behind this one is what makes this interesting. Which I didn't even know of this commercial's existence until you showed it to me for this podcast. So
Is there a
yeah.
story behind this commercial?
Well, just the story of how people actually kind of bought into it a bit.
Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely kids bought into it. Definitely for sure. Even some of my teachers bought into it. But yeah, it was fun times. Fun times.
Yeah.
All right, number one.
Okay, so my number one commercial is actually a series of commercials from
Oh yeah.
Japan. We couldn't get away without having at least one Japanese commercial on this list.
They are weird.
Yeah, this is for a gum of some sort. I'm not entirely sure, but it's called online. It's called Long Long Man, and so it's just this. It's this entire like relationship drama playing out through short commercials, as this the central characters are this couple who keep going on these different dates all over the place, but the lady keeps getting distracted by this other guy who shows up throughout the commercial, and sort of as it goes on, of course, she's like not sure about this relationship, but eventually they get engaged, and then they go to the wedding, and then there's a twist where it is revealed that this guy that she has been sort of pining after throughout this whole thing shows up at her wedding. But the twist is that he isn't watching her, he's watching her now husband. So it's just this like roller coaster of relationship drama, and it manages to fit so many cliches and so many things into
It's
such a short
very
time.
innuendo heavy
Oh yeah,
with the gum.
but there's even like halfway through she like faints from like some medical condition, and then it's just forgotten.
Yeah.
It's so strange and weird, and it's wonderful in how it manages to do so much so ridiculous in such little time.
Mhm.
It is one of those classics that is worth watching at least once,
Yes.
even though I just spoiled the twist.
You spoil. Yeah, I mean, just watching it on your own is just fun too. Anyway, because it's so bizarre and silly, but it works. Not
Yeah.
really, but sure, it's fun. um, but moving on to my number one. My number one commercial is not one that you can actually find. You've never seen this, Matthew.
Hmm.
But it's another commercial made in Paraguay. It was made for the 2010 World Cup. And this was a very popular commercial at that time. Um, it's a shame that I can't find it anywhere. I really would love to see this commercial. I just think this is the most iconic commercial for me to just visualize. And basically, you have the soccer team for this World Cup, and like they're in this World War One trench warfare. Um, like trying to lose hope. You get the Paraguayan flag, torn, like flowing on the sill, and then you got the captain of the team. He's like standing up, like in this like warrior uniform, and he's like giving this very emotional speech about like, "Hey, we can do this. We're going on to South Africa. We're gonna be all these other countries, and we can do this." And as they progressed through the World Cup, the commercial would be different slightly. They'd have a different speech for whenever they progressed. And it was just very fun to seeing the faces of the players just like getting hope from this inspirational speech. Like they're just advertising a soccer match, but they're playing it off as like they're going to war in trench warfare, and it's just a very fun visual. And then whenever they lost the World Cup in the quarterfinals, there's this commercial where the leader is just he takes his uniform that's all torn up, he puts it into his closet and like touches it gently. It's like, yes, we lost. And he looks over to a perfectly clean one to the right of him in another hanger that says Brazil 2014, and he's like next time. The sad thing is that they never qualified for the next World Cup, so yeah, it's a shame that the commercial never got to have that moment come to light. But yeah, I really want to find these commercials again because they were great to me when I watched them back then, and I really love to see how they hold up. They definitely don't hold up because they never made it to 2014. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it's crazy how big the World Cup is outside of the U.S. And I definitely miss some of that living here in the U.S. But yeah, and I remember the 2010 South Africa World Cup. So
I
I
mean,
don't remember what place anyone got in it, but I remember
Spain won.
watching it. Yep.
Spain won.
And then they proceeded to lose very quickly the next one.
Yes, which was very fun to watch.
Yes.
But yeah, fun times, fun times. But yeah, sadly, this commercial I could not find it. It's probably somewhere. Someone has a copy. Hopefully, like if you know this commercial, you strange few people, just look for it, find it. I want to see it again. And yeah, these are our commercials that we enjoy and are our favorites. So yeah, anything you want to say here, Matthew?
Go watch all of the commercials we just talked about. They're
If you can
worth
find them.
watching if you can find them.
Yes. And let's bring back Doritos. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.